Welcome to Behind the Smoke Podcast, Barbecue War Stories. My name is Shawn Walchef with Cali Comfort Barbecue. We are recording above the butcher shop in beautiful Spring Valley with my man Derek Marso from Valley Farm Market, and we're getting close to Del Mar, my man.
I can't believe how close it is. I mean, we talked about it last week, but it's insane that we have a year to prepare for it every year, and it just jumps up on us that quick. It's exciting. We just had a really cool meeting, bringing on one of my buddies, Johnny Castillo, and seeing if he can't help with a little bit of the marketing media with Corey, and it's here. It is here.
It's really cool. I mean, the Turf and Surf Barbecue Championship is going to be August 19th up at the Del Mar Races. We've already started selling tickets, VIP tickets. Today's guest, Ben and Sheli Higgins, they're going to be gracing us with their presence. They're going to be celebrity judges, going to help us with the tri-tip category, which is a new category this year, tri-tip and open seafood.
Seafood and tri-tip. I'm really pumped about the seafood. Our booth at Valley Farm, we're going to be doing a lot of seafood. I think we're going to do some poke. We're going to do some smoked salmon. I might bring out some ceviche. Just depends on what else we got for seafood restaurants.
Yeah. We're very excited.
Well, we're very excited to have you guys here. For us, it's really cool. Behind the Smoke, we get to do a lot of really cool things because of barbecue. And Ben Higgins and myself, we met many years ago, back when Ben was working for Extra Sports 1360, doing the morning radio show with our good friend Chris Ello, and did a couple live remote broadcasts from Cali Comfort, and that's kind of when we first met. And now today, to be able to bring you and your wife on, because you guys just started a podcast for Mighty 1090. I hear that Scott Kaplan was the one that pushed you guys into this new media, new platform.
He did. He came up with the idea for Ben and I to do a podcast from the Regal Seagull up in Leucadia, because we eat lunch there every Friday together, and Ben really doesn't need any more work hours in his day as he has it now. So we hang out and we do the podcast. And
tell me your schedule. So you up at 4:30?
Yeah, I get up about 4:35 to 4:45 every day, kind of double alarm, because it's not always, the first time doesn't always work. Then to the radio station. Woodsy's already there, ready for Ben and Woods on the Mighty 1090. We start 6 o'clock until 10.
4 hours.
4 hours on the
Sports
radio.
Talk radio.
And then usually 15, 20 minutes meeting, wrapping things up, and then get to go back home to see Sheli, and if the kids are out of school, like in the summer, for a little while. And then around 2 o'clock, I start getting ready, putting on the TV clothes and such, and heading down to Channel 10, which is not that far from here in Spring Valley, along the 94, and then usually the 5, 6, and 11. I'm there from about 3:15 until 11:35 when we're done with the night show, and back up to Encinitas about 12:15 home, go to sleep, get up and do it again the next day.
You're basically a vampire.
I am. Well, yeah, but I'm also awake during the day, so I don't know what's the kind of a vampire who also keeps day hours.
A vampire who's somehow managed to schedule in podcasting time into that ridiculous schedule.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's impressive. We put in a lot of hours.
This is the fun. This is the fun part of life. I mean, you said we do our podcast at the bar, so that's kind of fun time for us. I've done a radio show in front of your giant smoker at Cali Comfort,
Yep.
but I've never done a broadcast above a butcher shop. So this is new for me.
I'm very, very happy that in all of your years that we could give you a first.
Yes.
So it's an honor for us, and it's an honor for us to have you guys come out to the event too. It's funny that barbecue can bring so many different people together, and that's what Shawn and I have talked about so many times. It's important in nowadays to figure out something that can bring everyone together in this world that's getting divided. So let it be barbecue. Let's have fun and get after it.
Yeah, I think, one of the cool things was watching, both of you on social media, but you guys becoming Big Green Egg owners. And Big Green Egg's been huge supporters of both the Del Mar event and our Spring Valley event. And we're really excited this year. They're going to have a huge Big Green Egg experience. We're going to have Dr. Barbecue, Ray Lampy's going to come out, sign some books, put on cooking demos. Gene's going to put on a cooking demo. But, you guys are in it, like you're using it.
Yeah, we love our Big Green Egg.
Yes.
And I think that
And you post about it all the time, which is rad.
and we love trying new things on it. And I think that you really helped us decide that that's what we wanted to do when we were looking for, a new barbecue.
Did I help push you? I'm a good pusher.
I think that you did. You helped push Ben towards it, I think.
Well, people think, you're in radio, you're in television, you probably got it for free. No, we researched and wanted to get the best. Research. We wanted to get the best real barbecue that we could fits in a backyard that we could possibly do. And after talking to enough people, I think yourself included, we settled the Big Green Egg was the way to go. And I think
we had someone build us a table.
Oh yeah, which we love.
It's awesome, a custom table.
Really
cool. So it's a built-in now.
Yeah, it's built into a custom table, kind of a solid hardwood table that got an angle, so you can put all your barbecue extras on there. Underneath, there's room to put, the briquettes or wherever you need to storage underneath. And what's really great about it is, Sheli also bakes and stuff. You made actual dessert on the egg earlier this week.
Just last weekend, I made hand pies, blueberry hand pies.
Nice.
Baked them in the egg. I was like, not going to. I was going to just use the oven, but we had the egg going, so I thought, let's just try this, and it worked.
It's extremely versatile. And that's one of the things that it's. We talk about. You can do pizzas, you can smoke on it, you can grill on it, you can bake on it, you can do all those different things, and finding out what works for you. Everyone asks us all the time, what's the best? Well, there's no such thing as the best. It's what works best for you, So for us, Old Hickory works best for us for our commercial and doing the mass quantity that we need to do. If someone doesn't have a lot of time, they want to kind of set it and forget it, Traeger's a good option, a pellet smoker, something like that. If you have a little bit of time, you can do, we have a Big Green Egg outside that we reverse sear all of our tri-tip on, and that works best for us. But it's just so damn versatile, and it keeps that temperature so well. That's why we're just huge fans of it.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things too is just the way that they embrace events. So doing the San Diego Egg Fest and having you, Ben, come out with Jack. We had Scott Kaplan, who just became a Big Green Egg owner because of Brian at Hot Sauces and More. And then, even at that event, Jim Trotter got convinced to buy a Big Green Egg.
I feel partly responsible.
He actually bought the Big Green Egg. They didn't give it to him. And he's a guy, that we all love from San Diego sports.
Scott Kaplan, you mentioned, just got his egg, and he's still learning to use it. I need to ask. Shelley's
Scott and I have been DMing
and texting
each
all
other.
The time, and I don't even know what's going on.
You guys are dating?
Kind of. Yes, we're dating. We are. I think I've talked to Scott more this past week than I have been, actually, now that I think about it. But he was like, Shell, I want to do chicken on the egg. And honestly, we don't cook a lot of chicken at our house. I just haven't. I've done wings on the egg, but I really haven't cooked chicken breasts on the egg. And excuse me. So Scott DM'd me asking me what to do, and I kind of went to some of those, favorite websites that I look for things.
Sure.
I kind of told him, and he was like, I didn't love how they turned out. They weren't perfect. And I said to him, you're going to have to do things multiple times on the egg before you nail it.
Trust the process.
Because you have to learn how to use the egg. But we cooked some huli chicken the other night on the egg, and it was the best chicken I've ever made, let alone probably had. It fell off the bone, which for me, I just don't cook chicken that much because it's not that easy.
Chicken's really easy to dry out.
Yeah,
it's very easy to dry it out, and it's one of the things where you need to learn how to brine if you don't know how to brine, or if you're going to marinate it. That works as well. But getting chicken right is very hard. Now, talking to Scott, I'll fucking text him here soon to let him know, dude, you're gonna fuck shit up first. That's part of the fun. That's part of messing things up. And we talked about when I'm a certified Cicerone for beer, so I've been doing beer for 11 years. When I first started brewing beer, the first beer I ever made was hands down the absolute worst fucking beer I've ever had in my life. Totally. And I drank all 5 gallons. I made sure I drank.
You made it.
Yeah, it was like,
proud of it.
Everyone's like, is it good? I'm like, oh, dude, it's so good.
Delicious.
I went to go make it, and I'm like, ooh, I like caramelized malts. Great. This yeast is coming from here. Perfect. Oh, chocolate? Yep, put some of that in there. It's like a 13% bomb. It was just horrible, just like gut rot. But man, that's part of it. Right. You have to learn it. You have to mess things up. Same thing with brisket. We wear this out all the time. Talking with Chad Ward and all these guys, you have to just do it. Yeah. Just get out there and do it. They're like, oh, but I messed it up. It's like, you're going to mess it up.
Yeah.
That's part of the process, is learning and doing it.
And realizing how important the temperature is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think until you really mess it up, you realize how important dialing in that and temperature on the egg is.
for
'Cause
sure.
it takes nothing. Like, if it's too hot, you're done.
Well, that brings me to a question I want to ask the barbecue guys, because I always feel like I'm cheating a little bit, but it's so helpful, the internal meat thermometer, to get the internal temperature just right. I want to be able to the guy who can stick your thumb on the piece of meat and know exactly that it's medium rare or where you're going for it. But when you actually have the thermometer in there and it tells you exactly 135 degrees for my burger or 170 for a chicken thigh, it's harder to mess up when we do that.
It's a lot harder. The issue you have with that is when you do briskets, you do bigger pieces of meat, you have to make sure. So no cattle is the same. So let's just say you get a USDA prime brisket. They can grade prime, but they could be a little bit different. So when you're smoking them, sure. Do you want your internal temperature to be around 200? Absolutely. That's usually where you want to pull it off, around 200 to 205, give or take. We talked about it the other day. I've had briskets that are done at 190. I grabbed them and felt them, and I'm like, that brisket's fucking done. Pull that off. And I've had briskets that got done at 219. Like, that's high, or 214. That's extremely high. Like, I just had to it kept stalling, wouldn't go. Then finally it broke through. But, I think a thermometer is phenomenal for people but once you start doing it enough and you have that feel, I can grab a steak. I can listen to a steak and tell you if it's almost done, just because I'm fat and gluttonous and I've had so many damn steaks.
Yeah, I mean that goes to the
Don't
craft.
say yeah.
But it goes to the craft. I mean, the things that we talk about on this podcast, the things that we love, it's the craft. It's the process of literally fucking it up and then figuring out the better way to do it. Like Derek said, with beer, he tried all these different types of ingredients, and then you realize that, hey, when Gene Goycochea came and taught us how to do barbecue the right way, he says, you don't need all these different things. You need to have quality product. You need to get down to the basics, and you need to just care about what those temperatures are. When we're running a restaurant, for us, it's so important, that temperature, because that's part of the training process. Once we have somebody that's been cooking long enough, they'll be able to understand that those briskets are different. But when they start, they need to have somewhere to start.
As a sportscaster, this is the difference between being a really good amateur and a professional. And we're amateur barbecuers.
Oh, yeah,
and
for sure.
Shell's really good. I mean, she's better than most, but there is that next step up, being able to, just as you said, hear the steak and know where it is, that until you're doing it pro and, it's a everyday thing, I don't know that you can get to that level without, just like anything else, you got to put in the time, the practice, and the work at it.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, Shawn, but about 3 months ago, you told me something that you were reading about. It might have been the book that you read, Be Too Good, where they can't ignore you.
Yeah, Be So Good They Can't Ignore You. By Cal
talking about
Newport.
the process, and everyone wants this instant gratification. They want to be the best right away. They want to be, or they want to have the best job and love, what they're doing. That's the only way they want to live. I'm not going to go do this job because it's not what my true passion is. But you have to find things in that job that you can make your passion, right? Isn't that what you were telling me?
Yeah, because part of it's debunking the myth of what Steve Jobs said. And Steve Jobs famously, follow your passion. And that follow your passion has created this whole movement of expecting that, hey, I'm just going to quit my job and then I'm going to go and I'm going to follow my passion. Like, the world owes you something. The world doesn't owe you anything. Once you start, no matter what job you're doing, if you focus on that and you embrace those little details and you become so good at whatever that craft is, then other opportunities open up for you.
I get a lot of young people who come in that are interested in sports radio or television, and they say, I love sports. I love talking about sports. It's great. And that's a good place to start.
Sure.
But if you want to be successful in broadcasting, you need to be passionate about broadcasting, not about the topic necessarily, but you gotta love the mechanics. Radio show's more than just picking a good topic. There's a lot of little things to go. I'm still even learning today. That's part of when we meet every day after the show, just little ways you can just be a little better here or there. And it's not having a better take on the Chargers or the Padres. It's how can you do radio better to keep the audience listening a little bit longer. And that's what I'm passionate about. I love sports, but I like broadcasting, TV and radio, and ways to make it good and creative and different and compelling. That's where the passion comes from.
Yeah.
Give us a little idea of your background about how you got into it, because I think that's important. Because exactly what you said, people, they want that viral video. I want to be on SportsCenter. I want to be the winning barbecue team. It's like part of that process is understanding that you got to be in the shit. You got to deal with the long journey.
So I was a sports talk radio listener, Mighty 690 growing up, and I found it fascinating. And then when I was in high school, I had an opportunity. I had a decent voice, and I wasn't afraid to use it. So I started doing public address for our basketball team, introduce the starting lineups, things like that. When I went to college at Pomona College up in Claremont, I became the public address voice for all the sports. So, I'm comfortable doing that. But that's very different than broadcasting and radio. So I got an internship to learn about radio at the Mighty 690. Extra Sports 690, I think, than it was at the time during college. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew I liked that. I liked being there. I liked learning more about radio and TV. So after I graduated, I came back figuring out what I was going to do and applied for a job. And Joe Totino, who I work with now still at the Mighty 1090, hired me as a producer off the air to kind of learn the ropes. And I started there thinking, okay, I'll just do this for a year or two as am I going to go to law school? Where's my career going to take me? And all of a sudden, we're getting an opportunity to get on the air a little bit, and you got a taste of that and really liked it. And then the big break came just within 2 years. Craig Elston and I were 619 Sports on Twitter, got the chance to host Padres pre- and post-game shows.
Very cool.
On Kogo. And being a Padres fan, it's like, well, I'm not going to pass up that opportunity.
Sure.
So everything kind of on hold, and did that for 4 years. That opened the door to Channel 10 as I was doing that and started filling in. I got very lucky. Most people have to, if you want to get into TV, you got to go to small markets, Billings, Montana. My coworker Steve Smith, Kalamazoo, Michigan, Bemidji, Minnesota,
Yep.
Redding, California, and then you work your way back up to somewhere like San Diego.
Right.
I never had to leave, so it was kind of an easy choice for me to kind of stay. And
You say that it's luck, but I mean, we talked to Tabitha Lipkin. She was on this podcast, and a lot of it's not luck. You put yourself in that position. You grinded out those hours. So, a little bit of credit goes to you.
Sure.
Ben,
Absolutely. You put
Ben, right?
Ben puts in so much work and has worked so hard in both of his jobs, all of his jobs that he's had, and you are so flexible. I mean, and I know Joe would say this, and your bosses at the TV station would say, if you're a yes man, if they ask you to do anything, you are there. And that's the passion, and that's you putting in that extra.
I never failed
mile.
to appreciate the opportunity I have. A lot of people would love to do what I do, so I never want to take it for granted. Sometimes I'll see, older broadcasters, they get a bit cynical about the whole business, and
Sure.
I don't want to become that.
Right.
I want to have that passion. I want to appreciate and know this is a really cool job that I get to do, and I want to continue to enjoy that. And yeah, it's long hours, and obviously I wish I could spend more time at home with Shell and the kids. Right now, though, I've got some great opportunities, and you just have to kind of go for it when they present themselves.
It's very cool that you're that self-aware about that. A lot of people miss that. It's easy to complain. It's very, very easy to complain. And it's sometimes, even where we're at now, it's hard. We own businesses. We have families. We're doing a ton of stuff. And it's like, man, it would be easy just to say, this sucks. But guess what? This is fucking rad. This journey that we're on, it's pretty fucking exciting. I'm stoked that I get to come and I can provide for my 43 employees, and I can provide for their families, and I can do stuff for my family, and we can be a part of something that's bigger than us. It's not just about me, and that we're trying to give back to everybody. It's really, really cool. Sometimes you got to take a step back and look at that, but that's awesome that you do that.
It's easy to see the sacrifices I make. I get no sleep, all the hours I'm on. Shell makes a ton of sacrifices as
Sure.
well, knowing, all the things she's got to take care of. We've got 2 boys at home, we got a house, we got dogs, things to take care of, to make my life possible.
Sure.
I couldn't do it without her and the sacrifices she made.
I have a lot of friends who ask how we deal with your nights schedule, because, he works every night
Mm-hmm.
at TV, and I always say Ben loves his jobs. Like, and he never complains about work. Like he never, and that is dreamy for a wife and a mother, is to have someone come home from work and like it, and also you've always worked nights. So I don't even know any different. Like he worked nights when we were dating. So I don't know any different, but.
Well, I mean, one of the things I appreciate a lot is the fact that you're willing to be public about that. Before we lived in a world where it was, there's these defined male roles, female roles in the house. And Derek and I were very quick to point out that we wouldn't be able to podcast. We wouldn't be able to be at Del Mar. We wouldn't be able to run our business, to go and do all these unbelievable cool things if it wasn't for our wives back at home that are doing so many things behind the scenes to keep us who we are. If it wasn't for Rosie, if it wasn't for Catherine, we wouldn't be able to do all these amazing things. But now you guys, not only do you do that, but you have opened yourself up to the podcast, which, you have friends, they talk to you, but now you're literally broadcasting on the internet, on everywhere, kind of your story.
Yeah. And it's fun. I mean, people liked following Ben and I on Twitter, and that's why it kind of even became something. That's why Kaplan even came up with the idea.
It was awesome because you love craft beer.
Yeah,
and you've been active
beer.
on Twitter.
I love cooking, and I can cuss like a sailor, and Ben over here can't even say a bad word for the life of him. So like people kind of liked that dynamic, and Ben has a weird schedule, but we have a lot of fun together, and we do a lot of really rad things together, and so our life is pretty sweet. I mean, it's a pretty good life.
Cool. What's your drink right now? What's your beer?
So I call Racer 5 my boyfriend.
Okay.
Because that's the beer I'll take to any party.
He's
that I
steady.
go to.
He's there. He's been there for a long, long time.
That's what we've got in the kegerator right now is Racer 5.
That's the beer that every IPA started out wanting to be like.
Yep.
When it first came out, God, that was in the 90s. It was so bitter that people couldn't really understand it at first. And then they started like, that was the beer that Stone wanted to be like, that everyone else wanted to be like. Racer 5, they came out with the Racer X, Racer 10, they came out with the 15. 15's a little bit too sweet for me. But yeah, that was like the beer to be.
That was probably one of the beers you first recommended for us to get on tap.
It might have been.
Right when we back way
Sculpin
back.
was probably the beer that I told you to get out, like the...
Way back,
First
once I
one.
realized the depth of Derek's knowledge about craft beer, we definitely, Eric and I started bending his ear to help us improve the beer program over at Cali. Which
we just live in this mecca of really, really good beer.
We're so lucky.
We do.
I'm loving right now. I'm loving Virgin, which is up by us in Carlsbad, and Artifacts. They're both making some really great. I am an IPA. I love IPA.
Yeah.
I love every beer. I can appreciate every beer, but
when the IBUs get over like 95 to me, it's just I can't. It's almost not palatable for me.
Yeah.
I don't like it too bitter. Your palate can only go so high. So people are like, oh, there's a IPA that has 140 IBUs. Well, guess what? Your palate can't even. When it doesn't, it just wrecks your whole whole mouth. So, but I'm a big fan of balanced IPAs. If you can find a good balanced IPA, I'm all in.
I like the higher ABVs sometimes, double IPAs, and then I like darker beers as well. 2AM Bike Ride from Fall is one of my favorite nitro stouts. Board Meeting from Port, which is I like that coffee, obviously, in my browns, and I've always loved Alpine Nelson. It's a little harder to find after the Green Flash collapse, but I love Alpine Nelson.
Well, it's not the Green Flash collapse. What happened? So I'm friends with Shawn Walchef, the
from
owner.
Alpine, yeah.
So he, I talked to him all the time. I actually just talked to him yesterday, and I'll tell you what we talked about in a minute. But the Nelson, what happened is that they were going through so many of the Nelson hops that they couldn't get a contract to be able to get all those Nelson hops from New Zealand. So they had to wait like 2.5 years until they can get all the hops, and that farm could say, yes, we'll bring them over. So it took them a long time. And but I was just talking to Shawn and McElhaney, and we did an anniversary beer. So we've been in business for 62 years. Our 60th anniversary, me and Shawn did a collaboration on a beer, and it was called Valley Farm Market 60th from Alpine Brewing. So I'll be completely honest, I fucking hate Green Flash. I hate everyone in the company. I don't like anyone at Green Flash. I took them out of my store. They try to fuck us over on the 60th anniversary beer. But now that it's kind of dissipating and Shawn's able to do his thing again, we're looking at doing my beer again.
Nice.
Cool.
And
Awesome.
they're going to start canning in 16-ounce cans. They haven't done it yet. And he's like, your anniversary beer might be the first beer.
I don't care if it's called Alpine, whatever he's doing is what I want to be
Whatever
drinking.
Sean's doing, we
The
want to
name
follow
is
that.
irrelevant.
Yeah.
Well,
Beer is the thing.
Scott, their head brewer, is a fucking mastermind. He is awesome guy. They're both great. They're actually coming on Monday to pick up grapefruits because of grapefruit beer that they just did. They're going to do it again. Their Kiwi Herman that they did, I gave him all the strawberries for that, and I actually have like 3 cases in the office. When my employees are bugging me, I just indulge real quick. But yeah, it's amazing what they do. Their HFS is off the charts, man. That I think that won a bronze medal at the Great American Beer Festival this year. So they're great. They're great. They need to be allowed to do what they want because they're such geniuses when it comes to that. But yeah,
one of the coolest things for me is Corey, our producer here. He's taken over the role of beer buying for Cali Comfort, working with Derek. So he also works with Derek, and with Derek's knowledge and with what Corey's able to do, he's been implementing with Eric, our general manager, tasters and being able to do all different things with Untapped, finding out what do people want, what are the bartenders, just like up at Regal Seagull, we have we talked about it when I was on your podcast. We have a village, so our village, we trust the people that come in, that they interact with our bartenders and we learn their lives and we're there as a resource for them. But if they find a beer that they were like, hey, I was in North Park and this beer was incredible, they let us know. Having someone like Corey embrace the process because it was something new for him and it was additional, but he took that on and now he's working with Eric, working with Derek, and now we have such a craft beer program that I can be so proud of. And when I go to Regal Seagull, they have the same thing. I mean, it's incredible.
You have a great
and I noticed the difference actually, having just been there recently when we went by, and I was trying to remember from back in some of the older days at Cali Comfort. I said, Sean's got some better beers on tap here and a better selection.
That means a lot.
Going than I remembered.
The credit goes to Corey and Derek and Eric for sure, but that was me getting out of my own way.
I'm just really good at drinking.
I was a professional drinker, which is why I don't drink anymore. So.
Right. No, it's important. I know when we first talked about it, it's hard as a restaurant to change the fucking menu all the time. That's one of the things that Shawn has to struggle with, right? Because it costs money to print menus and do all that stuff. So you have to find an innovative way to show your tap list, because we have so many damn good beers and they're always, and some are seasonal, and you never know when they're coming out. And if this comes out and let's say Society comes out with a beer and they're like, yeah, we'll give you a keg, you do not say no. You figure it out, you get it in and you put it out there. So it's good to see as much credit as Shawn wants to give over here, that he was open to embrace that. It sucks. It sucks that you have to print out a new menu and figure out what's going on and be in the know of the beer instead of just doing the numbers every get. But that's what people want.
Yeah, that's where you're going to get the
shit.
I hate the places that never change their tap list.
Yeah.
Come on. Let's get some new things in here and change it up.
One of the best things we ever did for the restaurant was going from 8 taps to 24, and we had to build out an entire keg cooler in order to do that and put in a glycol system. But literally it was one of the best things that we did as a restaurant, throughout the last 10 years.
And when you're rotating when you're rotating those beers, you're introducing people to new breweries, new flavors of beer, new styles. Yeah, we were just talking about this. I was talking with some friends about Untapped and what a great tool that is. The Regal Seagull doesn't use Untapped. Well, they might, but not really. They have a camera that takes a shot of their beer board every 2 hours. So you can go online to their website and then, because they change their beers so often.
How many taps do they have?
They have 24.
24, yeah. It's a good number.
Yeah, 24.
Yeah, Brody's Burgers and Beer, we talked them into finally getting a big screen that they just have on their laptop and they switch it out. I mean, Brody's Burgers and Beers probably has one of the most impressive tap lists in all of San Diego. It's out in Jamul.
We haven't been there.
It is
They're
absolutely
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah.
They're Craig Broderick and Beth. I've known them for a long time. They're absolutely fucking hilarious.
So fucking funny.
But they embraced it. So they started. I helped them make their first tap list. Family, friends, did everything I could for them. And then, I mean, if you gave him anything but a Coors Light, he was like, "This is fucking horrible. Like, how do you even drink this? I can't." Now he's just like this connoisseur, and he just crushes all these beers, and he's got a really, really good palate on him. He can tell if something's a little bit off. There's diacetyl in something, or he can figure it out, and he'll go to these breweries, and now he's doing some catering, so he can go there and they can support each other. And now they're giving him the one-off beers that like nobody else in San Diego gets. And Kern River, when they have the Citra that comes out once a year, he got kegs of that, which no one was getting. So I'm always just like kind of keeping an eye out, like what are you going to bring in now, or what's in your cooler? I actually have a 2013 Bourbon County from Goose Island mini keg that I have that next year we're going to do a comparison from the 2013 to the
That's
the
a
new year.
pre-sell.
That's a pre-sell.
Selling out to
And
post AV and Bev.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I have a keg just sitting ready to be consumed.
That's awesome.
I've almost tapped into it before, but I stayed away.
Tempting.
Yeah, very, very tempting. But yeah, his tap list and his burgers, he gets all of his ground beef from us every morning, which, I've talked to him about before. I'm like, dude, you don't need to get it every morning. Like, why don't you do every other day? But he's so adamant about it being fresh. And so kudos to them. They just do a great job. Their buns are from Bread and Sea. Great buns. Their produce is great. Everything they do. I'm a big fan.
Sounds like we'd be there a lot if we lived somewhere other than Encinitas.
Yeah. I mean, I live out in Humul, so I frequent.
Yeah. We'd
So,
be at Cali Comfort a
That's
lot
true,
if
yeah.
we lived closer.
Is there any good barbecue up by you guys?
Not a lot. We mostly come south for barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
At Hig End. Which
yeah,
is what
no,
we
at
call
home,
our
man.
house.
Most of our barbecue is done in house. I love Shawn, Cali Comfort, and then Granol is one of my favorites.
Andy's
now,
great.
So.
Andy's great. What do you guys like to cook on your green egg? I know you said you don't do a lot of chicken.
We have done a lot of different things on the egg. I love doing pork. I would.
Yeah, we like to experiment. So if we've done something, it'll probably, okay, let's do something else the next time. But the ones we go back to are pork shoulders for pulled pork, tri-tips. Obviously we live so close to Seaside, so
Right.
Cardiff Crack is in the rotation.
Yep.
Ribs, which actually
I like to sous vide.
Yeah, we've done
my
them
ribs
all
and then
full on the
finish.
egg, but we found that they work so much better. Shell's got a big sous vide that she does, and then we just finish them on the egg for the.
I sous vide the pork or the ribs and then finish them on the egg, and they're so good like that. They just fall off the bone and.
Yeah, they're good. Those sous vides have been really taking off. I think they're doing some restaurants are using them.
Yeah.
Have you guys looked at it yet?
We have Gene. We did a cooking class over at Williams Sonoma with Gene with the sous vide.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as in the restaurant, I mean, that would be another step that we'd have to take.
I don't even know how that would work. I mean, you'd have to have a huge bat full of and multiple ones in there.
Yeah.
And, I bought one a year ago, and I was so gung ho on doing it, and I did some steaks on it, and they turned out great. But then I got lazy, and I just haven't been able to I told myself I'm going to vacuum seal a bunch of steaks at the store, throw them in the freezer. So when I need them, I just pull them out, throw them in the water with the sous vide, leave, come home, and I don't fucking do it. I have 3 kids, 4, 2, and 2 months. So
You got to plan in advance. That's the great Shell does. She likes meal planning, so
Right.
all right, we're going to do ribs tomorrow. So today I'm going to drop them in the sous vide, so
Right.
we're ready tomorrow to take them out and put them on the green egg to finish. With a little smoke and sauce at the end.
So tell us, give us a little bit of behind the smoke of Woodsy, of Stephen Woods, your new co-host.
Woodsy is he's what you hear on the radio. He's not. Yeah,
he calls it like he sees
he's
it.
He's very open about who he is, flaws and all. I think he's great. I've really enjoyed working with him the last 4 months. Shell, you agree?
He's a great guy. I love him.
He is a great guy. He's got so much energy in the morning, which he makes a joke out of it because I obviously have less. I get a lot less sleep, so I kind of drag in at 5:15, and he's just a bundle of energy, and he says, he'll talk my ear off for 45 minutes while I'm just kind of sitting there going over my notes, just kind of looking. And then I wait until 6 o'clock and the light goes on, and then it's Ben Woods on Sandy. But until then, I'm just like, and he is peppy all the time in the morning and ready to go.
You're kind of like that though, even before we podcast. Like, I'll be sitting there chatting with whoever we're gonna have on, and you're just like zoned out, like you're in like some pre-on-air. You go to some,
like an athlete or something, and like before a game, you gotta get into your zen place. You don't want to. No one goes out and waste all your energy right before the game. You save it up, and then as soon as kickoff or the broadcast light goes on, then you come out.
I would do that. I made the mistake when I was in college, and I would listen to, before warm-ups, we'd go out and I'd be listening to my headphones, some crazy music, going through the warm-ups, going crazy. And then I was spent. I was tired. So what I ended up doing is that I would listen to Jimmy Buffett before I'd go out, have my headphones on, and I'd just be like kind of, doing our stretches and doing our thing. Come back in. Right before we went out, it was Metallica.
Rage Against the Machine.
Let's go, But then my coach would get mad because I'm kind of nutty, and I'd go outside and I'd have personal fouls. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?
Relax.
Get back to your Jimmy Buffett stuff." And
right?
you play a lot better when you're fucking just kind of a little more calm.
Chill.
All right.
One thing I did want to ask you was kind of your journey in media, traditional media. Now, doing a podcast. Where do you see? What are your fears, I guess, of what's happening with the segmentation of what's going on?
I'm not really afraid of what's going to happen.
You're optimistic guy.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't. I mean, while the medium may change, and I think we talked about it when you came up on our podcast, the telling of the stories, the content that you provide, they're always going to need to be people who provide content.
Sure.
It may come on a sports radio station, and then it was satellite radio or podcasting. It may not even been invented yet how we're all going to get our information in the future, but someone still has to be able to put it together. There's never going to be a computer or a robot that can replace a person that can make a personal connection with an audience.
Right.
That's what I do. So the only thing that I want to make sure is I always am committed to being open to whatever new formats are out there, podcasting, and if that's what the future is, then we're ready for it. We'll do podcasts, and the trick is always monetizing it and finding a way to make a living.
Well, that's the real question
out of it. But you do it well. There should be competition. The right people should be the ones. There's a lot of people who make a lot of money on podcasts.
Do you think it has to do with the format? Because we talked when we had Scott Kaplan. We actually did the podcast in the middle of Mighty 1090 in the studios, and I asked him, when are the sales reps in Mighty 1090 going to understand that brands are going to not want 15 seconds of airtime for a commercial that's already been pre-read? They're going to actually want a Facebook Live video, or they're going to want a tweet, or they're going to want an Instagram post. What do you see as far as, because when Woods shared about Can People Change on one of the segments you guys had, that was less to do about sports and more to do about him as a man. And that's compelling radio. And that's storytelling at its best.
It is. And, we always say sports is our jumping off point. They always say, see if you can at least be able to reach sports from wherever you go, but feel free to travel around a little bit. Because that's where you make connections, is the story that Woods told. That's the audience. And in terms of, as you say, the sales staff, I think that's why sports talk radio has always been successful. We don't get the biggest ratings in town. The top 40 stations get that rating, but the people who listen to sports talk radio really listen. I mean, they're listening to us, and if we choose to do an endorsement or a commercial, we can trust that our audience will actually, absorb that and listen to it. They're not just flipping off on every commercial break. And if we talk about something, we have that relationship that if I tell them, go to Cali Comfort, go to Valley Farm Market, they're going to, okay, if Ben says it's good, then I should give that place a try. And I don't think you get that necessarily with traditional like FM radio. So that's why I like what we do, and podcasts are the same. If we don't have a sponsor on ours, but we would never take one on unless we actually believed in what they were selling and what they were doing.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are making a lot of money on podcasts, and it's but it's one of those things that we talked about. It's the same thing as barbecue. It will come, and you're going to mess it up at first. You're not going to make a lot of money at first, and things aren't going to happen. But if you do it right, and if you pay attention to the details, and you pay attention to what people want to listen to, and take advice from people that are telling you, hey, that was great, but can you guys have some more of these people on, or this or that? Take advice from that, and like you were talking about, we would rather have people that are truly engaged than having a ton of listeners that just don't care.
If all you're worried about is
Absolutely.
how you're going to make money on your podcast,
Yeah.
it's not going to be a very
No.
good podcast.
No.
It won't last.
You have
Not
to
at
pick
all.
something you are passionate about, that other people are passionate about, and that you can share with the community. Then you get started, and then if it's going well, then you start figuring out ways. Okay, can we work it in sponsors or get a national relationship? That's fine, but that you don't start there. That's where you end.
We did
And-
get our first Our Rendezvous perk, though. We are going to the Great American Beer Festival.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's
Nice.
rad.
as
Colorado?
media members, yes.
There we
Good
go.
for
Now
you.
we're talking.
For the podcast.
See?
So I'm stoked about that. I've been many times.
Did you
like
reach
six
out?
or
Did you
seven
reach
times.
out to them?
Yep.
Good for
No,
you.
Yeah.
I just
Ben did.
I filled out a media credential saying, hey, we have podcasts.
That's
we
good
talk
for
about
you.
beer. We'd love to bring it on the show on the road and do some interviews and post some episodes. And we got approved. So
Got
we get
approved.
That's
So
incredible.
It'll be Ben's first time going to GABF because we've always had the Chargers, and
Yep.
it's in September, so he's always had to work, so he's never
Right.
come with me. So
It's okay to not sample everything.
to
Slow,
benefits
go
of
slow.
the football
Right?
team leaving town.
Yeah.
I actually can take a Sunday off in September.
There you
for
go.
Once in my life now. It's I'm not happy about it, but there are some things that I can.
Well, good for you. I mean,
get
that's
out of
something that we went to National Barbecue Association, and we went as media credentialed to cover the event, to talk about the event. And, audio is just something that people are engaged in listening to things that they love. And that's the best part about podcasts is you can dig deep into things that you love and listen to stories that you care about.
yeah,
And we're fortunate to have anybody listen to this podcast, and people that are going to come out to Del Mar, they're going to come out to go to the Big Green Egg experience. I mean, Big Green Egg has stepped up. They're going to give away a mini max for any one person's going to win a mini max as long as you vote for your favorite restaurant, your favorite PC team, favorite dessert, and favorite seafood.
Yeah, I'm going to have my wife secretly do something
awesome.
so she can win and we
Yeah.
can
So
have
I do have a
mini-max.
question
Yes.
about the barbecue championship at Del Mar. We're doing tri-tip. We love tri-tip.
Yes.
We eat a lot of tri-tip, but not as judges. We just eat it personally. So any advice as
Well, this
to-
is the cool part is that you guys are celebrity judges, so you're actually going to come in to the KCBS meeting of judges. So you get to actually see the real behind the
criteria,
scenes.
see how it's done.
Correct.
Because I want to
Yes.
do a good
that's
job.
awesome.
That's-
I'm so
I
excited.
take things seriously.
And we have Arlie Bragg, we have Gene Goycochea, we have the McIntoshes. I mean, we have the best KCBS reps that are possible, and it'll blow your mind away the way that they go through the judging process.
I'm not worried. I mean,
So
Shell has an
excited.
amazing palate for beverages and food, and I think mine's okay too.
Right.
But I want to take this very seriously. I'm not.
They have criterias and tenderness and taste and all different things, and it's it is subjective a little bit, but you'll be able to tell the difference between a good one and a bad one. I mean, it's very you talked about Cardiff Crack. That wouldn't do anything for this competition, not because it's not good. It's just different than a competition style meat.
Right.
So
it's
a
not
little
about
more
the marinade. It's
the
about
the mush
cook.
that
It's
it comes, how
about- yeah.
tender, like it almost like falls apart. It wouldn't be that good for a tri-tip competition in this.
No, I can see that.
But you'll be able to tell, and you'll know how things are cut. You'll be able to look at a tri-tip and be like, that wasn't cut right. That was cut with the grain instead of against the grain. You'll be able to see smoke rings. You'll be able to see if it was charred, if it was reverse seared, but I mean, you'll thoroughly enjoy it. It's again, just like the Great American Beer Festival. Just sometimes just a bite is enough. You don't need to finish what's on your plate.
That's
Right.
probably
Me, like I
gonna be
said,
my difficulty.
my,
there.
my both when I've judged and when I've done the Great American Beer Festival, I'm a very gluttonous guy. So it's like oh, samples, free beer, and man, I was just so hammered. I couldn't even taste anything. They're like, "Do you remember what you did yesterday?" I'm like, "Nope, no idea." And then with the judging the food, it's like, man, they're going to give you some. You just need to take a bite. You don't need to eat the whole thing on the plate.
We're opposite.
You
Ben's
watch me,
the
just-
food guy,
yeah.
and I'm the one that will
Well,
have
Shell
trouble
always
at
she hands
GABF.
it to me like, "Oh, I can't finish this. You eat this." So
Yeah.
now I'm eating mine and hers.
Right. which isn't a bad thing. It's,
Normally.
you can do it once or twice a year at Del Mar and Spring Valley. Then.
That's
There
true.
you
This
go.
is true. This week, we do want to give our social shout out. We're very excited. All the people that have been sending us DMs, letting us know they're going to come out to the Turf and Surf event. Those tickets are on sale. But every week we give out a Behind the Smoke mug to one of our listeners. Thank you guys for subscribing and telling friends about the podcast. But this is going out to Sean Conahan, who is actually a Cali server that loves barbecue. He came out to Egg Fest with his family. He purchased tickets for the Turf and Surf. He tweeted out those tickets, and he's part of the barbecue journey. He actually might sign up to compete in Spring Valley's event.
You know, he's just a really fucking good dude, man.
He is.
He's just always
Padres
genuinely
Twitter.
nice.
Yep.
He's just a good guy. I'm happy.
He works
that,
full time, and he does this. His side job is coming to be a server. A couple days a week.
He has to make it happen. He's got a
Making
family to
it happen.
support, and there's no excuses. And guys like that are who I'm drawn to. And I can't say it enough. I just think he's a really cool dude.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys for letting us know. People told us that they had a great time listening to the Sam the Cooking Guide. We had him back on last week, and they really appreciated.
Did I tell you I went down there?
No,
I had 6 tacos.
Not
really.
tacos?
Fuck yeah, I had 6.
Six tacos.
I said,
What were in
impressive.
I want to know what were in these tacos.
Yeah,
Meatloaf?
I had-
What do you have?
I had a
Different.
meatloaf.
Yeah.
I had the curry egg. I had the pastrami. I had shrimp. I had Korean short rib, and I had.
5 out of 6 isn't bad. You can remember.
That's pretty impressive.
Come on, Derek.
Meatloaf.
I had
Had
meatloaf.
it- you said that one already.
the mac and cheese one.
Mac and cheese.
Oh.
Yep,
Oh.
there was mac and cheese.
We need to get over that.
And I absolutely crushed him. So we talked about it when he was here, but the tortillas, killer.
Phenomenal.
So I'm a connoisseur. I kind of know what I'm talking about when it comes to tortillas. And man, it was amazing. He did an amazing job. The staff, the line was really, really long. They got us through quick, and it was. I remember when he was talking about how he gets mad when people don't eat right away.
Yeah.
I was bringing them back, but I walked to my truck and I'm like, "Fuck." I just heard his voice
Oh,
in my
that's
head.
so
like-
funny.
So I just opened him up in my truck. and
That's
started
so
going
funny.
down. Yeah.
You heard him in your head.
Yeah.
Well, we're fired up. Very thankful to have Ben and Sheli. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Please listen to their podcast, Our Rendezvous. If you're up at Regal Seagull, get the bratwurst because it's fucking phenomenal. For us, we're grateful that you guys listened to this. I'm heading out to Canton this weekend. Next week, we're going to bring on Brad Angle from Flagship Cruises. And we're getting closer and closer day and day to Del Mar. It's happening.
And if you guys do come out to Del Mar, make sure you guys reach out to us, DM us. We'd love to meet you, talk to you. We will definitely make time. So thanks for listening. And thank you guys for
Thanks
coming.
for having
Thank you.
us.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you so
It's
much.
fun.
Hey guys, this is Shawn and Derek, and we just really want to thank you for listening to the podcast. It means the world to us. We'd like you to go check out behindthesmokemedia.com. That's our website where we have barbecue resources for you to help build your barbecue business. We also have events listed, so anything that's happening in the West Coast barbecue movement, anything that's going on, we want you to go check that out so you can learn more and get involved. We also have show notes from all the episodes, so anything we talked about in the episodes, you can find detailed show notes there. Plus, you can just get in touch with us. It's important that we're here as a resource for you, so please reach out. Let us know how Derek and I can help you with your barbecue journey. Get involved, stay curious, and follow us on social at Barbecue War Stories. We'll talk to you soon.